Sure, here's a complete sci-fi story fitting your request, designed to take about 10 minutes to read, with action, emotion, sci-fi romance, and a satisfying ending. The story follows the popular HFY, humanity, F asterisk yeah asterisk trope, highlighting the strength of human compassion and resilience. The battlefield was littered with the fallen, shattered armor, broken weapons, and the dying cries of 24 species that had once made up the coalition vanguard. Plasma smoke and the stench of melted steel choked the air. The enemy had come out of nowhere, massive insectoids from the Carthar swarm, burrowing through subspace like worms through rotted flesh. They overwhelmed the outer perimeter within minutes. Even now, the last remaining gunfire was dying into silence. Private Aidan Cole stumbled through the wreckage, rifle low, eyes scanning for survivors. His comm crackled with static, nothing but dead air from the 17th Interplanetary Platoon. He should have been gone too. A lucky blast had knocked him clear from the trench just before it caved in. He didn't expect to find anyone alive. But then he heard it, a weak, guttural growl. Not human, not entirely alien either. Beneath the rubble of a downed walker, something shifted. Aidan ran over, heaving aside shattered steel. What he uncovered made him freeze. It was Sarathas, the Vorton warrior, 7 feet tall. Scaled like obsidian, with bioluminescent blue patterns running down his face and chest. Sarathas was a legend among the Coalition, fearless, unbeatable, and to most humans, utterly terrifying. Aidan had seen him once during briefing and never expected to be anywhere near him again. But Sarathas wasn't standing tall now. His lower half was crushed. His 4 legs were twisted, useless. The long tail that once swept enemies like ragdolls now lay limp. Human, Sarathas rasped, sharp fangs flecked with blood. End this, honor me, Aidan blinked, swallowing hard. You're asking me to kill you. I am warrior, paralyzed. I will not be taken. Sarathas coughed, voice cracking. You understand. Aidan looked down at him. The creature's breathing was shallow. Every rational part of his brain screamed to follow protocol. There was no extraction, no backup. The medships wouldn't come for a crippled alien, especially not one whose species had only barely signed the Coalition Accords. And yet, Aidan dropped to one knee. I'm not going to kill you. Sarathas narrowed his eyes. What? I'm going to save you if I can. The Vorton's hand shot out, grabbing Aidan's arm. Fool, there is no if. There is only death. Aidan shook him off. Yeah, well, I'm not a warrior, I'm human. We're weird about hope. The exosuit on Aidan's back had just enough charge left to lift half a ton. He slung Sarathas onto a scavenged hoversled, ignoring the guttural groans of pain. The trek to the evac point was 10 kilometers through no man's land, and Aidan carried him every step, dodging Carthar drones, dragging him through mud and ash and plasma heat. Twice he was grazed by enemy fire. Once he thought he saw a rescue beacon, only to discover a swarm nest instead, and through it all, Sarathas cursed him. Coward, he hissed, afraid to end suffering. Aidan just smiled grimly. You're not dead. So stop acting like you are. They reached the old mining outpost 4 hours later, Aidan barely conscious, legs shaking. He used a signal flare to call for emergency extraction. The auto-drones responded, only after verifying that the human signature had priority. The medics refused to take Sarathas aboard. Alien, non-critical, non-human, not eligible, the drone AI chirped. He's coming with me, Aidan said. Not authorized, the drone repeated. Aidan raised his rifle. That wasn't a request. They argued, but Aidan didn't move. In the end, the drone backed down. Sarathas was loaded onto a stretcher. The entire trip back, neither spoke. Not a word. It took months. Vorton physiology was incredibly resistant to standard regenerative treatments. Doctors advised termination. The Coalition Command refused to authorize further care. But Aidan didn't stop. He cashed in every favor, every mission credit, even called in a Vorton diplomat he'd never met before. Somehow it worked. Sarathas lived. He would never walk again, but he lived. 3 years passed. The war ended. The Carthar swarm retreated to the edge of known space after their queen was destroyed in orbit over New Terra. Peace came slowly, uneasily. Aidan was discharged. He never expected to see Sarathas again. Then one day, on a cold spring morning at a diplomatic summit, Aidan found himself face to face with the Vorton warrior once more. Except now, Sarathas sat upright in a sleek hoverchair, armor polished, his eyes calmer. I have returned what I owe, Sarathas said. Aidan blinked. Oh, you gave me life when I believed it lost. That is not a debt easily dismissed. Aiden shrugged, trying to hide the emotions swelling in his throat. You didn't owe me anything. Sarathas's expression softened. Perhaps. But I wanted to give you something more. From behind him emerged another Vorton, smaller, sleeker, with emerald blue markings and a curious tilt to her head. Sarathas nodded toward her. My daughter, Eli, she bowed. My father says you saved his soul, not just his body. I would like to know the human who did that. Aiden stared for a long moment, the war memories flooding back and then fading. He smiled. I'd like that too. Years later, when the coalition faced a new threat, it was a joint human Vorton fleet that led the defense. At its heart stood Commander Aiden Cole and Ambassador Eli Sarathas, bonded not just by duty, but by love forged in fire, sealed with something far rarer than survival. Trust, because sometimes, the difference between war and peace is one stubborn human refusing to let someone die, even if that someone once thought death was the only option.